Good.
Can you just do it, I guess, from the video thing, or you just?
Yeah, for IG. No,
Yeah.
no, just I don't know, do IG live from.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Or
That's a
do it
weird one.
from the story.
Hey man, if you know how you do IG live, someone get at us and know how Mike goes live on IG.
Are we live right now?
We're live right now.
Oh shit! All right.
We
I gotta get
have
with the times here.
we have 0 people watching, but this is Turono Talks,
Yeah.
so
It's early too. 6
Yeah.
o'clock, right?
All right,
He's
let's get in
just
here.
coming home from work if they got a job.
dropping devices and stuff. All right, so what's up, man? This is Turono Talks, man.
Hey.
This is our initial episode.
How's it
First,
going?
first and foremost,
This
let's
is the pilot.
yeah, exactly. Let's introduce ourselves, man. Who we got on here?
All right. Well, I guess I'll go first, since I'm always here.
Yeah, let's
You know, it's your man Maloney, MLNY. You know what it is. Breaking Records, Maximum FM, Breaking Records Radio, No Condom Podcast, and this is something new that we're going to try out here. So this is our pilot. Hopefully y'all enjoy it. We got the homies. I'll let you guys introduce yourself.
Mike Stone. If you don't know me, it's okay.
Let's keep it as short and sweet.
Yeah.
All right. And yeah, man, my name's Dustin Wareham, DJ D's Nuts, Mr. 80's favorite babies all day, every day. Shout out to the squad, shout out to the people, shout out to Max FM. And this is Turono Talks, man. We dropped the second T because if you're from Toronto, you don't use that T. And what's the show about, man? What we gonna talk about?
Well, I think, you know, if anybody who has any of us, especially on Facebook, they should already have a good idea what the show might be about. Yeah, I think it's important for us to have a network, something. Well, I don't know what's going on with my life. Hopefully that kicks in a second. But yeah, I think it's important for us to have some real discussion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We not a lot of outlets I think do it enough, and I don't think there's really any outlets that like just talk about the things that are going on, like not music wise and stuff, right?
Right.
And myself, for example, like Breaking Records Radio, all we do is talk music, right?
Yeah.
And No Condom Podcast, we talk a little bit of hip hop, but it's mostly guy talking nonsense and just shit to get you laughing, right?
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, you know, I was supposed to have both you guys down here for an interview on the radio show. We did ours.
We did ours last week.
But basically, and they were both kind of on that same type of content, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, stuff going on. And yeah, I was like, you know, what would be a great idea? I'm like, I think the three of us, the way that it would diversify.
Come together.
Yeah, I just think that, like, you know, he's always posting stuff that creates dialogue.
Yeah.
And you're always posting stuff that's kind of, you know what I mean, on your mind.
Absolutely.
I don't do it as much, but I when I have conversation with people, I'm very deep into having those types of conversations, right?
Yeah.
On Facebook, I'm more, you know, I just kind of clown or promote music or podcasts, you know, troll.
So basically, just want to talk. You know what I mean?
But yeah, exactly. We want to sit here and have progressive dialogue.
Exactly.
What's going on with my life?
I was thinking of something earlier. It was like, you know, the theme of the show that in my mind I was coming was that we're not unapologetically black. We're not unapologetically white. We're just unapologetically us. You know what I mean? And that's the theme of the show. We want to be. We want to be as us as possible.
Yeah.
What's up with the camera over there? It's saying something weird.
Oh shit.
I don't know exactly what it's saying.
Movie recording has been stopped automatically.
That's kind of weird. I don't know why that would be stopped. I hope the hit it again. Let's see if the card is full. If it is, all well. But yeah, man. So you know, we want to do a show called Turono Talks. We just kind of want to discuss issues other than just music, politics, sex, anything else like that. I think that memory card's full. That kind of sucks.
So you have to switch that.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what's going on with my live here. It's acting like a.
Whatever. So anyways, man, regardless,
we're all fucked up here.
if y'all got some topics that you guys want us to discuss, then please let us know, because that's what we're here for. We want to discuss topics with you. You know, like what's the first topic that we should touch base with today? Because I know you got a few topics that you want to talk about that you've got written down, some things that you want to touch on.
And like we were just even talking earlier, I thought regentrification would be a good topic. That kind of fits right in the bill. You know, we could even touch on some of the stuff we talked about last week. You know what I mean? Like people, you know, your bigots and xenophobes and stuff in the hip hop community, stuff like that.
Right.
Another one I thought was interesting because I seen a post someone shared like a couple days ago, and it's this white crap. It was this white kid from like some northern Ontario city or something using the N-word in his rhyme. So I thought that would be some good dialogue to have. You know, just kind of this is the type. Yeah, exactly. How did you put it? Unapologetic.
Yeah, we're not unapologetically black. We're not unapologetically white. We're just unapologetic us.
I like that. I like that. So that completely fits the bill of exactly what we're trying to talk about here. I think so. Those are some of the topics. Well, either way, should we tell them all topics, or should we just start getting into stuff?
Just start going into stuff.
All right,
just start talking shit and see where we go from there.
All right, let's do it. I'm gonna try to get my live going again here.
Okay. I don't know, let's talk about this Saturday. I think like the main thing is this Saturday, you know, we got some shit popping off here in Toronto this Saturday. We got a rally of protest down at Nathan Phillips Square brought to you in part by WCIA, which stands for the World Coalition Against Islam. And yeah, man, I think this Saturday is going to be a really, really interesting day in Toronto. You know, I think we're going to see a lot of shit here in this city that we might not have seen in a while. I think this is going to be a bigger rally and a bigger protest than any of those other ones that we've kind of seen in the past.
Yeah.
It'll be really interesting to kind of see what happens, you know, with the city down in Nathan Phillips Square, how people react to it. You know what I mean? Personally, I hope a lot of people show up to counter protest. You know, that's what I'm looking for more than anything, is I want people to show up to counter protest and basically, you know, just kind of, you know, stick it to these people as best we can, let them know that there's no room for these type of attitudes and, you know, this type of shit in Toronto. You know what I mean? And I really hope that that's what does happen on Saturday, because really, this is Toronto. And, you know, me and Mike were talking earlier, and it seems like a lot of these people who are coming up with some of these ideas and some of these very, you know, bigoted thoughts actually are coming from our city. You know, Richard Spencer, for example, like he spent time in Toronto, and I think he coined the phrase the alt-right while living in Toronto. You know, Gavin McInnes from Vice Media, you know, he's, if I'm not mistaken, he's from Toronto, he's at least Canadian. Who else were you saying was from Toronto?
Faith Goldie.
Okay.
Well, Lauren Southern, she's from Vancouver. From
Okay.
I can't think of anybody else. Those are like some of the main ones in Rebel Media.
Yep, Rebel Media, Proud Ontario, you know, all these crazy right-wing, you know, I should say crazy, but like all these right-wing media groups that have all of a sudden popped up out of the woodworks, and they're kind of going that way. And, you know, it's just weird to think that we live in what is potentially the most multicultural city in the world.
Yeah.
And people are kind of leaning, you know, in the absolute opposite direction and trying to kind of paint this picture that Toronto's a bad city because we are so multicultural.
Yeah.
You know, to me, that's absolute horseshit.
Yeah.
You know, like I think Toronto's great because it's like that.
That's one of the best cities on the planet.
Absolutely. People come here and they love it. You know, we just
people travel here for the fact that it's multicultural.
Exactly. You know
what
I mean?
Yeah.
You know, we just had Caravana this weekend. Caravana is a huge celebration, you know, where people from all over North America come up here to party, and they come up here and for the simple reason that Caravana is multicultural.
Yeah.
It's a representation of who we are, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's
Caravana is lit.
Oh, Caravana is
I wish I
awesome.
could have went this year. I wish.
Caravana is awesome. I didn't get to go this year, unfortunately. I wish I did get to go.
It's so lit.
Yeah.
It's like the craziest shit.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I always eat well at Caravana. Always, you know, always drink well at Caravana, smoke well at Caravana. Well, for the most part, you know, just have fun,
You
man.
everything well in Caravana.
Yeah, man. Enjoy yourself. When you come home after Caravana, you're beat just from the sun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how people go and party all night after that.
For 4 days straight.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You know, so it's crazy. So yeah, I mean, this Saturday.
But, you're just before we go too far.
I think the memory card's full. So
you got
know
another
what?
one with you?
I don't have another one with me. So
Oh,
we won't
shit,
even,
okay,
we won't
okay,
even worry
okay.
about it. You can turn that camera off if you want. We won't even worry about it
So
today.
we
I'll
should
fix
maybe
it next
even
time.
move mine then, so it's
Sure.
because it's only got me in the shot. That was like a pan shot. Sorry for the people. This is our first time doing
Well,
this.
it's cool
so
because we're on
tight.
here. So if you wanna stay on your camera, that's cool. That way we could, you know, what I mean, we'll at least have views.
Are you able to like take the video off these after? and
Probably
use
not.
them?
Probably not.
No,
But
so
okay.
yeah, move that.
All right, so let's move the camera.
Move that. Do it proper.
Yeah.
Then when we post it up after and stuff, you know, we want to have good footage to work with here.
All right, there you go.
All right, don't mind us, people. You know, we're just getting in the groove here.
Yeah, it's our first episode again. Toronto Talks. What else? The second team.
No?
But yeah, man, like I was saying, this Saturday, man, I really want to see people come out and counter-protest this rally. I think this rally is going to be complete horseshit, and I would
I
love
think
to
it's
see, you know,
Fucked up they even have this going on.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm shocked that Toronto will even allow this kind of thing to go down.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is the rally really about, though? Like, I've heard scattered stuff, Nazi this, that, but
It's the 1 year anniversary of the Charlottesville. Yes, so it's the 1 year. That's why it's planned specifically on August 11th. That's why it's specifically planned in Toronto, because Toronto's the biggest city in Canada, and because it's viewed as like a hotbed for Muslims.
Yeah.
So they're planning this to coincide.
But
they want to
what-
have the protest, but they also want to march through the streets after the protest to kind of signify
But
that they feel Muslims should be out of Toronto.
But what I don't get is that if it's because of Charlottesville wasn't about Muslims. It was about statues and the Confederate flag. that makes no sense to me. I understand they want to, it's a correlation, but it makes no sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess they
It's
feel
not like you're gonna drive the Muslims out.
no.
And majority of the Muslims, from what I know, ain't causing trouble in Toronto.
Fuck no.
Well, it's a stance they're taking, and it's a line that they want to ride. They want to ride that line. And as I was saying to you earlier, I think this is a money grabbing opportunity for a lot of people.
Yeah.
They see money in hating other people. They see money in posting these things. They see money in gathering people who, for the most part, intellectually, in my opinion, just aren't all there.
Yeah.
So they could keep their hand in their pocket by telling them, hey man, your life is being, taken away from you. Your life is threatened. Join me, join my cause, fight with me, join this great war because there's a genocide, and if you don't, you're gonna be destroyed. And but if you come with me, I'll show you how to protect yourself. And so what they're doing is they're keeping their hands in their pockets, but they're also kind of making themselves out to be like these messiah-like figures.
Yeah.
If you don't, this is gonna happen. But if you come with me, I will save you.
So is this like a Nazi type rally type thing?
It pretty much is.
Because I seen the one that you posted, which is like the protest against it, right?
Exactly.
And it had like the Hitler with the whatever and crossed out. So like I was curious about that. Like, is that because I didn't even know anything about it until I seen you post the protest against it.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is like a hardcore nationalist, I guess quasi. Can you call them Nazis? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like they are what they're
neo-Nazis.
I don't know.
Nationalist alt-right meeting. You know what I mean? Let me see if I can find any of this.
We actually, when I used to work up the street on Queen Street East I believe it was last summer. Near the end of last summer, they had like some little neo-Nazi thing going on in like one of the parks, like Kew Gardens or some shit. I'm like, how the fuck does this shit happen?
Yeah.
Like,
so that's one of their images there.
This is the flyer here.
Yeah, that's one of their flyers.
We will not be silenced by the fascist left. No masked hermaphrodite, commie, is gonna stop me from exercising my freedom of speech.
No one's stopping them from exercising their freedom of speech.
Worldwide coalition against Islam.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And Nathan Phillips Square too.
Yeah.
Well, what I hope happens with this bullshit here, like, show this to the people, by the way, too. Like, look at this shit.
I didn't see that.
It looks like
that's one of their pictures.
It looks like when you start rapping, the type of show flyer you'd like make on Paint.
Oh, like MS Paint, yeah.
Like that looks horrible.
Yeah.
But what I want to see happen is I would like to see more people show up to fucking protest this shit than show up to support it.
No, absolutely.
And I think that's important.
Show up and protest, show up and counter protest. Don't come with the intentions of being like ultra violent or anything like that, because that's just going to make us look bad.
Exactly,
That's crazy, man.
So that's one of their images.
Because it's like, whatever agendas they have that they probably know that they're about, it's hidden. By looking at it, it looks innocent.
Yeah.
It looks like,
well,
because that person looks
innocent.
Like, no, honestly, like from an outsider view, say I didn't know what I knew.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, a guy is punching out somebody who's masked that looks like a criminal.
Yeah.
Right.
And the person that, like, the image of the person looks like a nice guy defending himself. Right?
So you think vigilante or
so
my
thing is, what type of other groups are going to show up? Of course, you might hear people from the alt-right, or neo-Nazis showing up, or pseudo KKK people showing up.
Right.
Yeah.
Or if it's around those lines and they're doing it based on Charlottesville.
Well, they have the Proud Boys who are showing up. They have the Soldiers of Odin who are showing up.
Yeah.
A few of those combat groups. Like all these fringe groups.
Who are the Soldiers of Odin?
They were a group, I believe they started in Sweden, and they went, I guess they wanted to protect their streets and whatever it is, because I know Sweden has their immigration issues over there as well. Yeah. So they formed over there, and eventually a branch formed over here. And I know there was some dissension where they said they broke off with their original creator because the original group or something was more into neo-Nazism, and they felt like that was bad for their branding and things of that nature. So eventually they broke off with that, whatever. But they're still, they're still along the same lines.
Yeah.
They got their little jackets, like they're bikers with like a little Viking like logo on the back as if to signify like they're warriors or something like that. Like there's someone that you should fear, and they all have their patches, and like I said, it's all quasi money making grabbing opportunities. InfoWars, same shit.
Well, I was actually just gonna bring that up. With that being said, the money grabbing opportunities. Alex Jones.
Yeah.
I had no idea, but I guess his YouTube just got shut down.
His page
until I see you post that today.
That he did it, except for his website.
Yeah.
And so, what do you guys think about that? Because personally, myself, I didn't watch everything. I didn't watch all the, you know what I mean? I know he was a heavy conspiracy theorist, but I think it's important to, I think freedom of speech is important.
Yeah.
So I think that to take down his YouTube channel, I think, you know, I guess he crossed the line with like it said like hate speech or like, it was like something like I think it was maybe against homosexuals or something like that.
There was a lot of stuff like Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
You know, I think the parents of Sandy Hook complained because a lot of them were getting not necessarily death threat, maybe some death threats, but you know they're being accused of being actors and actresses, and it's like, hey man, you know we got to visit our kids' graves, and a lot of them.
Yeah, and how you got the nerve to sit here and rally up a group of people all over the world who listen to you to think that this is fake.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of on the fence though, because I mean that's censorship, and I'm not really pro censorship.
Exactly.
You know
the same way. Yeah.
What is it crosses the line where you're saying something's not true.
Yeah.
Okay, you're saying something's true, but now it's affecting other people. And it's like, okay, where do you draw the line?
Right. Disinformation, propaganda.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem. The age we live in today is that people just don't know how to like actually spend 5 minutes and you know, do the background searches and just find out, you know, if what they're reading, what they're reaching, if it's actually factual or not.
The thing is, though, propaganda is fine when it comes from a media outlet that there's an agenda.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Something under the Viacom umbrella or something. They want an agenda push. You know, the 1%,
right?
You know what I mean. The wealthy people of the world, they want an agenda push. That's fine. We can serve you propaganda, but that's my issue. It's like what? So you can't have a YouTube channel and post your own? Maybe a lot of it was propaganda. You know, so, a lot of it was conspiracy theory, over the top stuff.
Yeah.
But he did also push agendas of stuff too, of things that you know that people really should question.
Yeah.
And so I'm on the fence. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how I feel about them taking down his channel and stuff. You know, like Immortal Technique's gone and sat down with him. Like he's had credible people. Go and sit down with him and talk about
have
stuff.
Conversations.
And he's not always, you know, like I don't know. That's a hard line. YouTube is supposed to be of the people, right?
Right.
It's supposed to. It's not, but
it's a business.
It is, but they, you know, like
it is a business at the end of the day.
It is, but they don't. It's not like they don't even have to put a disclaimer like YouTube doesn't
endorse this
because people already know that because
everything
everything's individually put up. So I don't think it should be on them to decide what somebody can and can't talk about.
I don't think it's on them though, because I think it's because of Google. I think it's because all the other corporations' hands involved with
YouTube.
When they started demonetizing people, that was based on advertisers. Saying, this is questionable. What's it called? This
like marketing
content. And we don't want our product associated with this. So if you want our money,
you got to filter out.
And that's what the whole process.
Change more towards the guidelines
because they want to make it more like Disney.
But the thing is, then unmonetize them. Like your account's closed for monetization.
And that's what they've been doing. But now.
But like to just remove them, I think is a little too much. And it's questionable when it's somebody who's anti-establishment too. Like if some fucking neo-Nazi idiot who's gonna show up at this rally or something, you know what I mean? Like I feel like that's more probable. You know what I mean? Like that gives you more of an excuse to do something like this. You got some account where you're gay bashing homosexuals and stuff like that, or transgender people, and trying to garner rallies to like do whatever to them like that. You know what I mean? That opposes public threat. But I think people, you know. What is it next? Like, you know, on Facebook, you can't make a fucking post saying, I think Trump's an idiot. Like how far does this kind of censorship go?
Right. No, and it's kind of weird because we're sitting here saying we're against censorship, but we're absolutely against these people who are coming to rally and say, get Muslims off our street.
You know what?
But it's, you know, free speech is free speech, but there's consequences with what you say, which is another argument. Yes, you're allowed to say it, but there are consequences that do come along with it. And like you said, it is YouTube's product, so you know if they don't want people searching for hate on their product, which is really kind of weird because I've started to see some of these videos. Maybe this is exposing myself a little too much. I've started to see some of these videos pop up on fucking Pornhub. Some of the alt-right videos that have been banned from YouTube are popping up on porno websites.
Oh yeah?
So I wouldn't be surprised if for all you guys who use Pornhub out there, you're gonna start seeing Alex Jones videos popping up on your fucking Pornhub searches, right? Because
yo, how mad are you gonna be if you go to whack a load off and fucking Alex Jones face shows up?
Oh jeez, that'd be so.
You start
get your vitamins the fuck out of here,
You start getting trolled in the videos. like fucking.
That would be absolutely.
Oh, this title
ridiculous.
sounds sexy. You turn up. Hey, Alex Jones here.
Yeah.
At least, as long as he has 2 bars on his side.
Alex Jones. But yeah, man. So that's a little bit crazy. You know, I'm not pro censorship, so it's definitely a little bit weird. You know, he's definitely entertaining, but I don't like him.
Yeah.
I think he's a
Opportunist?
a Bill Cooper,
An
William
opportunist,
Cooper, and
yeah.
David Icke wannabe. You know, if you know conspiracy theories,
William
you should
Cooper,
know.
yeah.
You would know
Hold the
William Cooper,
Pale
Hold the
Horse.
Pale Horse. You would know David Icke's whole Lizard Man theories.
Yeah.
You probably even know like Malachi York and some of these people. And I
Yeah.
just feel like all Alex Jones is kind of like a wannabe of
Wannabe of
these
them,
guys. You know, and people just don't realize it. So, you know, he's selling you vitamins. You know, he's selling you
And
snake oil.
the only difference with someone that's actually another question. Actually, now that you bring him up, because a lot of people are unfamiliar with William Cooper.
Right.
But William Cooper was an ex-naval intelligence officer. For the people who don't know, and he wrote a book called "Behold a Pale Horse,"
Yep.
in which basically immediately got banned from all stores and stuff. Very few people even hold physical copies. My friend bought it 10 years ago, and he had to buy it on audio cassette and order it from like some country halfway across the world.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
you have to listen to William Cooper speaking his book, and he does not have a very interesting voice.
Yeah,
he's
doing
very-
very monotone. So I had to listen to the book about 5 times to actually take in all the
Yeah.
information because I ended up falling asleep in my computer
Yeah,
desk.
yeah.
But
Yeah. And he was killed by the FBI.
yeah. Well, yeah,
He
he
was
got
murdered, his own
killed.
property.
He got killed. Yeah, in a shootout. They claim
Yeah.
that he pulled the gun out on the police and then was killed. But come
Yeah.
on, people know history. You know what I mean. But so that's the thing, and that's one thing I want to ask. What do you guys feel about William Cooper? Because yes, he was an ex-naval intelligence officer. He predicted 9/11 would happen before it happened.
Yeah.
And he said a lot of things like, see, and that's another interesting topic because you know with all the school shootings and stuff lately, that was one thing he talked
He
about.
did talk about that in his book.
How
to
the government would be taking people who are psychologically unstable.
And have
They
to
would
do stuff.
Yeah, they would do like certain tests, like what's that movie where they do all the fucked up light tests where like Tom Cruise
Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, or isn't there a newer one though, like Mel Gibson or Tom Cruise? Someone, his eyes are pried open. They got all those fucked up light tests and shit. And they're like fucking frying his brain and like with subliminal images and shit. But
No, I don't know
like that
about
kind of shit, like he predicted they'd do that kind of stuff, put them on
Yeah.
certain drugs and stuff, and basically like convince them that going to shoot up a school is a good idea.
Yeah.
And this is like 15 years ago, and this
Yeah.
shit is happening.
Yeah.
So it actually bears the question, like and this book is banned. So is the 1% behind this shit?
I don't know. That's a
Like,
good question. You know, conspiracy theories is definitely a good question. We do know the government's powerful. You know, we know the government is definitely
But see,
powerful.
it's not
in some
even
other
the
things.
government. The government
The
works.
shadow government.
The shadow
government
government.
behind
Yes,
the
exactly.
government.
Yeah,
You know,
yes.
the Illuminati.
Yeah, Illuminati is
The
a
shadow
loosely,
government.
too loosely
Yeah.
based term, but
Yeah.
But there's another good question that
We
we could
definitely
go
have
on
shadow
to.
governments,
But
but you know, it's definitely crazy out there. You know, there's definitely influence. There's definitely shit. That's a topic we'd have to do like a whole other show about, to be
Yeah.
honest with you, because conspiracy theories are something that are kind of like really in right now. Look at the whole QAnon thing. You know, this whole Q group. You know,
I
people
just
are-
heard about that. That's crazy.
Yeah, so people are really into conspiracies.
tell
and
the
again,
people
you
a
can,
bit about that.
Man, apparently it's somebody powerful, high-ranking who had access to the White House, and they're saying, they're releasing all this information like, oh, this is going to happen, and these people are going to get arrested, and this, that, and the other, and all these theories, and that, the Trump trial really isn't about Trump, it's about Hillary and Obama and how they're going to get arrested. To me, it just seems like a lot of propaganda, information, and a lot of shit that just out there to confuse the people.
From facts.
And the problem with that is now we're kind of in a media war. You have a media war where people don't believe the media, and it's not that people ever really truly 100% believe the media earlier, and like I said earlier, you have to do your own due diligence,
your own research.
But when you just outright say that everything is fake media, and the real fake media is the real story, then you kind of tread into 1923 Germany territory. If you've done your history.
And see, and what I think a lot of people don't realize either is that it's not necessarily that media is fake, it's that everything's skewed.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like when Gary Webb exposed the CIA Contra scandal, that the CIA was the one who started the crack epidemic and Oliver North was flying in planes with cocaine. That shit got published. then every other media outlet went on a smear campaign against
Right.
him in the San Jose Mercury News till they had to retract it and apologize. He won a Pulitzer Prize award for his discoveries and
Right.
in writing that, and then ended up being belittled within 2 years to being in Hawaii and doing weather for the San Jose Mercury News.
That's crazy.
And he had a Pulitzer Prize, and no one would touch him with a fucking 50-meter stick.
That's
you know what
crazy.
I mean? And that's because the media smeared him. And it's not necessarily that it was fake news. It was skewed news.
Yeah.
And that's what I think. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is a big difference. A lot of people look at the news like probably Alex Jones with Sandy Hook, shit like that. It's like, oh, this didn't happen. This actress. It's like, okay, you're crossing the line. But what if maybe somebody fucked this guy's head up? You know, someone in some laboratory or something, and he went and did this because of other reasons, right?
Right. Well, I mean, speaking of people who were kind of, a little bit not all there, have you guys gone to see the Danforth Memorial at all?
I have not yet.
No?
I'm not far from there, so I don't have much excuse.
Yeah, you're not far from there at all.
No,
like, you're not far from me, and I'm a Danforth
there, yeah.
Okay, so I've seen it multiple times. I've walked by. I live on the Danforth. That night that the shooting happened, if you check my Facebook, I did actually post something. I was like, hey, what's up with all these police flying around the Danforth? And then, I sat there all night and kind of watched the news feed and whatnot. So we got Taste of the Danforth coming up, so hopefully it's a time to heal and it's time to kind of like get over some of that. But with that whole thing on the Danforth and what's going on, it's kind of put our city in the news again.
Yeah.
In the news again in a really negative way.
light.
Like I feel like this summer our city has seen more news than it ever has on a worldwide mainstream level, but it's been for a lot of
negative stuff. Yeah.
Even within the city, you know what I mean? Like a lot of shootings.
Yeah.
Those aside, and again, these alt-right things that are happening and whatnot. But yeah, like the Danforth, that was just really fucked up. You know what I mean? Really
That's
crazy.
super fucked up.
Absolutely fucked up. And I went down there again, saw the memorial, definitely a beautiful memorial. All these victims, I feel like so bad for them. So I really hope, Taste of Danforth is an opportunity, for the city to kind of come together and heal and, kind of put that behind us, what I mean? But man, our city's been in the news for a lot of the wrong things, whether it was the whole van attack in April.
Yeah. That's like, and that's the crazy thing going on in Toronto too.
Yeah.
Is like, it's not just, like it's not the school shootings and shit like that kind of shit. It's like public full out attacks.
Yeah.
Kind of, it's a little weird, you know what I mean?
And do you know what the funny thing is too? All these people, like that's actually a question I did want to ask you guys as well when we were talking a little bit earlier, and this kind of skews into it. But what is your opinion on the term terrorism and terrorist?
Well, I mean, a terrorist is somebody who does an attack that's politically motivated. You have to have political reasons to do that attack, right? So some type of, they want to make a statement, whether it's a political statement or they want to, reveal themselves in some particular, but it has some type of political motivation.
What, is that the actual?
No, the actual definition, if you ever look it up, it is the most loosely based definition in the world. It's basically a person who intends to do harm against others.
Yeah,
like that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. Well, that label anything could be.
But that's the point.
It's the way it's the way the media once again skewed news, right? The way after 9/11, it was an excuse to basically use a term like they did communism in the fucking the 60s and stuff. You didn't want to be a communist. Like fuck, I'd almost rather be a communist than a capitalist. You know what I mean? You really look at shit. Like what's so wrong with socialism? It's just maybe it hasn't worked in certain formats, but that's another conversation. But
I think our form of it is not the worst thing in the world. We're not a nation of communists, but our form of socialism isn't the worst thing in the world. But I agree. And the way they can misstrew things or give certain things a certain particular definition and loosely use that.
And this is the thing where when it comes to terrorism and what they deem as it being like, this is the problem what happened with Danforth. They're trying to say it's not terrorism.
But why? Because it was a white guy?
No, he
was a
Muslim.
Was he a Muslim guy?
But then now it's like, okay.
The van attack was a white guy.
But now it's like, okay, well, what is his political ties? If there's no political ties, then it's not terrorism. Even with the van attack, I don't care if you're white, black, purple, or green, that's terrorism.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But because of how it's defined, it's not considered terrorism. So it's like we're in this gray area of what actually is terrorism.
And when your biggest enemy as a country with social security and all this kind of shit is a term that loosely based, I think we have a real problem here.
Yeah.
you don't know who the fuck your enemy is because there really isn't one.
Yeah.
It's anybody.
And
Exactly.
What about domestic terrorism?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
That's a
So
huge
it's like,
problem as well.
Well, like
But it's not
Timothy
defined.
McVeigh, right?
Yeah,
they
it's
wouldn't
never-
call him a terrorist, but
and-
that's definitely
That's
terrorism.
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
like, why are we defining certain things as terrorism,
Right.
not if they're literally the same thing?
No, absolutely, absolutely, I agree. And it's just, oh, the camera's off over there. But it's
Oh,
just,
word.
I guess it's just how people want to view things and how they want to present things.
Yeah.
Like that's a big problem with Canada for the most part. Is we have a problem admitting to any of our faults.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have this thing where we always want to present ourselves as the nicest of people.
Yeah.
Even if it means subtly hiding things that feelings that we have.
Yep.
I think that's kind of being shed by a lot of people right now, and we're starting to see that.
In this
But on a
generation, we're
whole,
kind of in like the transparency
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah,
Yeah. A
you
lot
know.
of people are kind of.
especially the online generation.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
Especially the online generation. But as a whole, as a nation, we always want to be seen as like, we're Canada. We're the nice ones. We're the nice guys.
Yeah.
We're the good guys. You know what I mean? And we're always gonna smile and whatever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird, man. It's kind of weird to see that and whatever. But it is what it is, man. Fuck it. I feel like though, to be honest with you, I feel like our generation, we're adults now.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to take the helm.
Yeah.
And we kind of have to run.
It's up to us.
Yeah, you know what I mean? We got to take the baton, and we got to kind of run and shape society into whatever we want to shape it into now,
And that actually said too, because the period we're at now too, I feel like that's a lot harder for us because we have there's like this permanent like disconnect that seems to happen between the older generation and younger generation. Like when we were growing up, you know what I mean? And I think we're all different age groups, you know what I mean? I grew up like in the 90s. You grew up 80s, right?
80s,
like
90s.
80s was your youth,
Yeah.
and 80s was your youth. Yeah,
90s was definitely like my most formative
okay,
years.
so
but
you're
yeah.
but like, and when we're growing up, like you respected your OGs, you looked up to them, you know what I mean? You took knowledge, you know what I mean? Like you know what I'm saying? And in today's generation, this isn't just about hip hop. This is like everything on a whole. But it's like the young generation, because they grew up on the internet and shit. They're like, we know everything.
Right.
You can't tell us shit.
Right.
So it's hard for people to even, you know what I mean, to even take the torch and lead because.
They got Encyclopedia Googlicana now, man.
Yeah.
You don't have to crack open a book. You just go to Wikipedia, Google, YouTube,
And
and
a lot of times
it's there,
Wikipedia
right?
is not that. What is it? The information in there is not complete.
Okay,
Yeah.
you want a good example now? This is
Yeah.
taking it back to hip hop, but it's kind of
Yeah.
funny. And we're not trying to be too funny
Yeah.
in this
Yeah,
podcast,
yeah.
but it falls in pocket with that
Yeah.
exactly. But so when I interviewed Classified, I've been a huge Classified fan for years, right? I interviewed him 2 times prior, and then this one time, my third time doing it, I was hanging out at an ex-girlfriend's house. I didn't think I was getting the interview. He hit me back like a couple hours before. He's like, yo, let's get it. And then I didn't hear back from him. So we just headed down to Yonge and Dundas to watch the show anyways.
Yeah.
I went and talked to security. I'm like, class, said he's going to do an interview. I haven't heard from him in a couple hours. Can you ask him? So after the show, he was like, yeah, come back. So I'm like, fuck. So I wasn't prepared really, right?
Right.
So like I kind of like scribbled some quick notes. I went on Wikipedia. I already had a few things I wanted to ask, but then I went on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Well, on Wikipedia, I didn't use my fucking brain. Okay. So it said instruments played, wind flute.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like I didn't know you could play the flute, whatever. So in the interview, I asked him like, so I heard that you play the wind flute, and DJ Ivy looks at him and is like, isn't that a penis? my face was so fucking red.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shit. You know what I mean? Because it was just one of those quick things, but I didn't even like think twice,
So
right?
someone-
I've never heard the term wind flute as a penis.
I've heard skin flute.
Skin flute, sorry, that's what it was. That's it was skin flute.
No,
That's what it
My
said?
bad. Skin
So
flute.
you actually asked Classified
if you played the skin flute.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's
Yeah, I did that.
So
That is
somebody
hilarious.
altered his Wikipedia?
To
I don't
say
know how
that
that
he
happened.
played the skin flute. Classified.
Someone was mad.
Yo, Maloney asked Classified in an interview if he played the skin flute. That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's
What
one of
was
the
his
biggest going like
reaction?
inside jokes with me and Obi.
What was his reaction to that?
Well, like,
Yeah, what did he say? How did he
he
respond?
like paused for a second. I have it on video. I cut it out of the interview, obviously, right? Like out of respect, and but yeah, I still have the video. I
You
can
should
play you
put
that
that
sometime.
response on the No Condom podcast.
I can play you the video sometime.
Yeah.
Play the
But
skin flute.
Yeah. He like paused for a second, like was almost like, this motherfucker just asked me this, because you're like, me and class have been cool too, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like,
yeah.
he's probably thinking, what the fuck?
Oh, you remind me of class.
And then fucking Ivy looks, he's like, this guy just asked you if you suck dick or like some shit like that. I'm like, and my face just like probably just went completely white. I'm like, oh shit, I just did that.
Oh man, that's hilarious, bro. That's absolutely fucking hilarious. I wish I was in the room. Wish I could have been like a spider on the wall.
Oh, man.
That's the lesson. Don't trust Wikipedia for everything.
Don't trust Wikipedia.
Man. Wikipedia
for
is
everything.
horrible.
There's some info, but it's a lot of it's basic, so you gotta do extra
It's stuff you can find out yourself, really, if you just do a quick Google.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, it's crazy.
That's always my my example.
Yeah,
for
like
people. Like don't trust Wikipedia.
Don't trust Wikipedia. Don't trust what you read online. Verify it directly from the fucking source.
Or not in that case.
Dude, that's awesome. That's hilarious. That's like, you're gonna dine on that story for the rest of your fucking life.
That's definitely the biggest embarrassment ever in an interview.
Yeah.
Shout out Shortcut in the place to be right now too.
Hey. Shortcuts up in here. Shout out Max FM. Shout out Chris Jackson, Mike Boogie.
Yes.
And shout out the whole squad up here, man. It's dope that we're up in here. We're able to do this. We're able to get this popping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shit, I was trying to do this with Mike for a long time. Like, I approached Mike to do this about a year or two ago. We were going to do something similar at the Toronto Reference Library. We just didn't have the opportunity to. And then, like I said, we had the conversation about a week or two ago.
Yeah.
I think actually it sparked at the A.Wake show.
Yeah, it did, because I was live.
Yeah.
And then I actually asked you about some of the comments you had made, right?
Right.
And then you went into discussion about it.
Yeah.
And then for the week to pass, I seen a couple actually myself. I was
Okay.
like, oh shit, I'm seeing this now.
You
and then
kinda
you
noticed.
screenshotted a few and showed me
Showed
and told me about a couple other people I knew in the industry. I'm like, what the fuck? So then I made a post and I'm like, all right, yo, it's time we just talk about this shit.
Yeah.
And so with that being said too, well, before we get into it, shout outs to homie Governor. He's talking to us right now.
No, what up, homie?
I'll just say what he said. He said, it said the word came from the Terran for the word Terra, from Terran, from the word Terra, which means earth, meaning people from the earth, and when they wanted to wipe them out, they gave the word a different ending sound and meaning and description. I will get back to you on that info. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but in terms of war, we are going through a period of spiritual and mental war. This info is cued.
Yeah. No, that's dope.
Yeah.
We kind of are going through a transition period, a mental awakening, and like I said, our generation, we can't rely on our parents no more. Our parents are damn near retirement age. You know what I'm saying? We can't say, oh, well, let our parents deal with it. We gotta deal with it. We gotta form the world into the direction that we want to form it. And as I was saying earlier, I was saying to Mike when you were out of the room, literally for a lot of people of color in this country, or in North America, we should say, if you're between the ages of 35 to let's say close to 50, chances are you are one of the first non-segregated, or first born in a non-segregated nation. You know what I'm saying? Like, our parents were born into some form of segregation. So if we are first generation non-segregated, truly 100% equal in the eyes of the law, not the eyes of the particular individual, but the eyes of the law according to the law of the land, we have to protect that particular law. You know what I'm saying? We have to protect that, because that means something.
That's infant.
We are the recipients of something that is, very, very important. So we have to kind of protect that, and I think that is very much a part of the spiritual awakening that as people were kind of all going through, you know what I mean? It's just some of us are realizing, hey, we got to protect this, and others want to fight that. Others still want the ability to lord over the land and lord over other people. And it's like, nah, that time's done. You know what I mean? Like, we're cool, man. You know what I'm saying? Sit down, crack a beer, smoke a joint. Let's get it in together, or get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I feel like it's at.
And do you guys think that slavery and racism has capitalist roots?
Yeah, absolutely. $1 trillion nations have been founded upon slavery.
Now, the thing I find crazy is that the people, I guess it's anything. It's like propaganda, right? You can get anybody to agree with anything as long as you can convince them and they're stupid enough.
Right.
But the thing I find crazy is like the people in our modern time still actually hold on to these racist ideologies and thoughts, and like it's like do you not understand, like, and this is why, like, when we were talking about the freedom of speech and stuff, and I almost said it's different when you have someone like Alex Jones doing what he does, and if you had somebody up there just spewing like Hitler type Nazi fucking racial, like let's kill American history X type shit. There's a difference, because at the end of the day, we're all fucking people.
Yeah.
As racism only exists as much as we allowed to perpetuate it.
Kind of, yeah, absolutely.
Like, you know what I mean? Once we put it behind us, it no longer exists.
Yeah.
Once we're all just, we're people.
Yeah.
And the thing that's real is classism.
Yeah,
that's what's very real.
Yeah.
So it boggles me how people are so fucking stupid that they follow something as stupid as racism and don't even look in the direction of classism.
But it's both of them are kind of packaged together.
They are tied together.
Yeah.
Especially if you look at Asia and you look at other places around the world, how classism and racism are tied together is skin tone. The lighter you are, the more you are assumed to be someone who's rich, who hasn't had to work all day in the fields of the barrio. Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh shit.
So especially like I know it's huge in Asia. We're seeing it in the Caribbean right now with a lot of skin lightening creams.
I was just actually gonna talk about that. I seen Godfrey promoting some, or not promoting, but
he's trying to say get away from you.
He was in India and he's like, I seen people walking up to the counter just like, like some of the skin lightening cream and like buying it like cigarettes and shit.
Absolutely.
I didn't even realize they have that in Thailand too.
Yeah, in Thailand. Because the notion is that the lighter skin you are in those countries, the wealthier you are. You haven't slaved all day in the fields. You haven't worked. You're not from the barrios. You're not from the ghettos. You're not from the slums. You're wealthy. And then if you look at, like, for example, the Philippines, I have a lot of Filipino friends, Filipino girlfriend. And, if you look at their media, a lot of their people are very light. Very, very light skinned, very half Spanish. And, because again, it's assumed that's what the beauty standards are based on.
Kind of like how, like, some Middle Eastern countries look at people who are overweight. Like that's beauty because it's
and that's a
sign of wealth.
complete, contradiction to the two, right? You look at some of these, like you said, some of these Middle Eastern countries where these people are drinking a ton of milk, and to the point where I've seen some documentaries where mothers break their daughters' fingers when they start throwing the milk. Oh, they have money. I remember there was this Chinese guy who, I shouldn't say Chinese, he was from Hong Kong, so Chinese, but he ran this computer spot in Malvern Mall for years. It was called Supercomputer Hour when I was growing up, and that's where we go at lunchtime and waste all of our money. I don't know if you've ever been there, if you knew abs or not, but so we would spend all of our money there, and his teeth were fucked. His teeth were like brown, yellow, all just fucked up, and I was like, Abs, why are your teeth so fucked up? And he's like, hey, I started smoking when I was 5. And I'm like, what? And he's like, at them times, I don't think now, but in those times in Hong Kong, you smoked and you had your teeth all fucked up, it was a sign you had money. You had money to smoke all day, right? So that's different.
Crazy,
that is crazy when you learn those things and you cultural differences.
And then over here, if you're fat, like what I mean, you're looked at like stop eating McDonald's.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely.
But I mean that really is the root of our problem over here. Is not enough activity and too much lounging around. You know what I mean?
We don't see kids playing in the street anymore.
Yeah. No, that's crazy.
When's the last time you seen kids playing in the street?
Really, man.
Hardly ever.
My parents didn't want me in the house. It's probably because my dad might have been smoking a joint or something.
My parents are like, get the fuck out of the house. We're having time. Norm.
If it was after 10 a.m., it's like, did you have breakfast? Yeah. Did you do your chores? Yeah. Get the hell out there and play.
Why are you still home?
Kids, now you can't do that because now if you send a kid to the park and no parents there to watch a kid, the cops get called.
Yeah. True.
You can't even let kids be kids anymore.
Times are too PC nowadays.
Yeah.
Actually, we should talk about that. Before we get into that, the one thing I want to make a point of that I find so fucking ironic and fucking hilarious at the same time. Well, not even hilarious, but just ridiculous.
Can you see yourself on there?
Yeah, I can see myself. Yo, what's up, people? You know what I mean? But the one thing I find so fucking ridiculous too is that like you got all these countries, they got these skin lightening cream and stuff. Light is more beautiful. Yet any white person I know tries to tan as much as they fucking can because they think being darker is more beautiful. So what the fuck kind of a contradiction is this shit? It's basically it's
everybody just wants to be everyone else or just wants to hate everyone.
Grass is greener on the other side.
Right.
And you know what? That's what fuels a capitalist economy to pump people with shit they don't need.
Well,
you know what I mean? When people have everything they need, well, then you gotta give them shit they don't need.
Exactly.
And fucking
exactly.
What better than a war you can't fight? You're either never fucking light enough or you're never dark enough.
Yeah, you can never be satisfied with who you are, or you love yourself so much that you hate all those fucking people over there, and it's just constant going. You know what I mean? We need more balance.
Yeah,
we need more fucking, more balance, man. Like I feel like, fuck, man. Give me your fucking, give me your butter chicken. I'll give you my hockey all day. That's what I think. You know what I'm saying?
I don't even like hockey.
I always say I'm not even really a hockey fan either, but the Leafs are gonna kick ass this year. So
I heard
they're gonna fucking smash this year. But I always have a theory that you could get and maybe this is more towards men. I'm not a woman, so I don't know. But I always have a theory that you could kind of get a group of 10 men they could be all from different places of the world. Throw them in a garage with a case of beer, or if they don't drink, something that they do like, maybe a little bit of herb. Throw a TV in there with one sport, whether it's soccer, whether it's football, whether it's baseball. 8 out of 10 of those guys will bond around that sport.
Yeah.
8 out of 10. The other 2 will just sit there quiet and be like, I don't like this shit. But 8 out of 10 guys will have moments where they'll be like, hey, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, good point.
They'll remember that. You know what I mean?
And that's one thing I do like about sports, because one thing I've always when I was younger, I used to hate on sports, right? And people who watched them, like all my friends growing up, always watched them and shit. I would just be sitting there making beats, writing hip hop, listening to songs, be like, yo, turn that down. I want to hear the announcer. I'm like, oh, fuck you, go watch sports somewhere else, right? You know what I mean? And but my thing always is because it's one of those things where, once again, in a capitalist society, sports is entertainment. It's a distraction, right?
Yeah.
Like, in medieval times, they had what was called bread and circuses, right?
Yeah.
And that was when, at the Colosseum, everybody worked for the state or the city or whatever, and at the end of the day, opposed to, like, gathering with other people and having discussion that meant something, you could all go down to the fucking Colosseum and watch people on pole vaults and stab each other and shit like that, and just, like, and they would give you free food, and they'd give you free booze, so it was called bread and circuses.
Watch that Battle of Tigers.
That's what happened every night. Yeah, exactly. And that's where the ideology of sports comes from today. Except the only difference is we pay for it. We pay for that entertainment. We pay for that distraction from society.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, that's the flip side. It brings us together, but it also distracts us from shit too. Right? It's super weird.
And I always hated it for that reason. But as I've got older, exactly what you said is the reason why I appreciate sports, because it gives something to people.
Yeah.
Maybe people don't like music. Maybe they don't like. You know what I mean? Or there's so many different kinds of music that can
that's
segregate
not their form
people.
of art that they like.
Sports is one thing that unites all different people of all different walks of life.
Absolutely has the ability to do so.
Like, it's stronger than hip hop in that sense.
Yeah.
Well,
it predates hip hop, so
it
definitely
brings people together, but it doesn't bring them together. I mean, like, you're same building and everything, but.
Well, look at Toronto FC fans, what they did in Ottawa a couple of weeks when they torched the fucking stadium, right? Like, they started a little bit of a fire up there. So I think TFC had to cancel their privileged fan passes for, like, outside games or whatever.
Wow.
But soccer is, amazing for that shit.
But that's what it is.
You see riots, you see people doing all types of, like, fucked up shit, right? That's soccer.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But it's crazy because with it could be one of two things. You could either have, that bonding experience, or, you look at European soccer, you have that whole hooliganism culture where they're just kicking each other's ass. And I think, some of the Toronto FC fans try to import that a little bit. They kind of try to, bring that to the Ottawa game.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know. I've never been to a TFC game, but, I think I should go to one now. I definitely want to go to one now.
And actually, what you said, too, actually is an interesting point that made me think, too. Why is it that people who like sports, they're like the biggest revolutionaries in Western culture than any of us? These motherfuckers... Well, no, the fucking fans. They don't torch a stadium. They don't riot the streets when the team wins. But yet, we can't fucking come together and make a fucking change and fight for a cause that means fucking squat. What if if the World Series gets won 2 years in a row, we're flipping cars and torching fucking downtown.
And they're only doing it for that reason. They're not doing it for a cause.
For no revolutionary.
But when it comes to a cause, they'll be like, no, that's wrong.
No, exactly.
It's like, fuck, you did it for no reason.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, the sports riots are always something where I'm
You get called terrorist.
Exactly.
Right?
Sports riots kill me. There's no point, like, there's really no point to a sports riot. You know what I mean? Like, my team won, let's go flip shit.
But
it's accepted.
Yeah. It's more accepted than actually gathering a group of people and doing something for a cause.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. It's so weird, man. Our culture is so
fucked up. It's ass backwards.
It kind of is.
It's absolutely ass backwards. But to even get Western civilization to where it's been so far off of all the bloodshed and everything it's built on, everything's got to be ass backwards. You can't dare teach people the way shit's supposed to be, or else we look at our whole existence like, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
No, absolutely. And that's why I think we need to really rebrand the word America.
Yeah.
If you actually understand what the word America means, it means the new world.
Yeah.
And America itself on a map stretches from the top of Canada to the bottom of South America.
Yeah.
So, including the Caribbean. right? Including the islands as well.
That's probably why they own all these stupid niche places that do
Right.
nothing for the country.
You know, but if you
just the map space, like it's literally. I never thought.
But if
about
you
that.
if we rebrand the name America and what it means, which is New World, and we look at the people who helped create the Americas, whether it's through bloodshed, whether it was through genocide, slavery, anything like that, we all kind of came together and we created this literal new world called America. Now we are in Canada, which is part of North America, but we need to rebrand the word America to educate people, to let them know that America means New World, and all of our hands had some type of form, shape, or hand in building this up to what it is today.
Which certain people don't believe is true.
Fuck those people.
But that's the whole point. Like,
no, exactly.
Certain people have their viewpoint of what this is,
what
how it's
created, who created
and
society,
who contributed and who didn't.
Right.
Not knowing that a lot of groups contributed, but at the same
Absolutely.
time, we contributed, but a lot of people suffered because of the contribution.
Yeah,
And that's the fucked up part about it.
Absolutely, and that's why I said we need a rebrand of the word America. We need people to understand that the word America literally means New World, and that America stretches from the top of North America to the bottom of South America. You know, so when we say America, or we're specifically speaking about the U.S., we need to say the United States of America, because that's all they are. They're a collective group of states who bonded together to form one country. You know, and when we could rebrand that word, we could actually do a lot. You know. A lot more, you know what I mean? So it's really interesting, you know, and I think we just need to kind of educate people on that, and you know, again, change how we use that word, because we'll start to change how we look at ourselves. You know what I mean? If we start to say that we are all American, then, you know, our petty differences shouldn't really matter, right?
But they're still gonna matter.
They'll find something else, you know? You're wearing Nikes, I'm wearing Reeboks, they'll find something else.
As long as we allow media to perpetuate what we should be thinking, then there will never be true unity.
But unfortunately, we are now a part of the media.
But that's
we are now either part of the problem or part of the solution.
Well, and that's why I wanted to do this, because I believe in trying to be part of the solution, and I don't think enough people do.
Absolutely.
And I don't think really anybody does. You have your groups, you know, like especially like us in the urban community, like we look at a place like the Breakfast Club or like Vlad TVs or like, you know what I mean, that kind of shit. And you know, they'll have the dudes up there once in a while, like, you know, Umar Johnson or like Brother Polite or like, you know, like sometimes they got their people up there, you know, who really represent like, you know, some social awareness and stuff like that. But there's nobody who actually like just dedicates the time to actually being that. You know what I mean? There's no we don't have any programs that like we can go listen to, unless it's somebody like Alex Jones, where you don't know what the fuck you're hearing. You know what I mean? But you can't go anywhere and hear progressive conversation. And so that's why I think it's really important for this. Like, and even when we started No Condom Podcast, I jumped at the idea because I thought it would give me an hour every 2 weeks to sit and like talk politics and sit and talk like conspiracies and talk about like, you know, economics and historical economics and shit like that, and like, you know, shit that affects us and how we are here. And like, but you know, Eddie, no disrespect, shout out to Eddie G, you know, shout out to you, whichever one you're watching on.
Shout out
if you're watching, but you know, disrespects. I love the homie Eddie.
Just want to engage in a conversation.
I want to engage in conversation, but what I am turning into is just basically guy talk, which is great. I love joking around too.
Absolutely.
But that's why I thought something like this was important. And you two are dudes that, you know, I always see pushing that agenda of, you know, you're always pushing ideologies and ways of thinking. And Stone is always pushing thing. He'll say something on Facebook, which I had to learn over time, but he'll say something that isn't even something he believes.
He'll just ask the question and push the issue.
Get the conversation started.
You're good at that, bro. Honestly, like, you're good at that, and I think we were talking earlier, you know, with the troll games, you know what I'm saying? And you're definitely really good at trolling, man, online.
I've been
like
practicing since I was a kid.
But you know what? I don't even call it trolling with Stone, though.
It's
you know what I mean? Because I
playing devil's advocate.
At first, I did call it trolling. I was like, yo, Stone is a master troll. But after time, I really learned. I'm like, yo, this guy's trying to push dialogue. That, like, get people talking. You know what I mean? And that's one thing I really appreciated by it. So then, you know, once we started talking and stuff, I was like, yo, it only makes sense if we could have Stone here. So I'm glad that we could come together and do this.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And it's just to show people that we can talk, we have something to say. And that we are willing enough to kind of be responsible. You know what I mean? Willing enough to be responsible for our generation and where we're heading. You know, because a lot of people don't want to take responsibility. A lot of people just perceive us to be dumb, and a lot of people just perceive us to not really care about what's going on in the world. And like I was saying earlier, the fact of the matter is we can't rely on our parents anymore. We are of that age, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We're of the age where we have to start taking control, we have to start taking power, we have to start taking initiative.
Yeah.
If we want change in our neighborhoods, we have to find out who our councilmen or councilwomen are.
Yeah.
We have to send them letters, we have to get the petitions going, like, that's our jobs at this particular time. We can't allow other people to just do it and put the onus on them.
Yeah.
No.
We are fully grown adult men, women now. We have to take some type of responsibility for the society and the direction it's going. And if we want to shape it a particular way, then we need to take it upon ourselves to do that. We need to organize.
Yeah.
We need to absolutely start organizing ourselves better and showing that we, you know, we can be organized people. We can be adults for the most part. We can still have fun. We can still go party, do whatever we want, and, you know what I'm saying, drink and smoke or whatever. But there comes a time when we got to be adults, and I just think that that's where we're at right now. And you know, we're showing that we got more on our mind than just the music and just the beef and just the bullshit that's out there. You know, we wanted to, like I said, we want to talk about the issues. So shout out to all the people who've watched.
Yeah,
we want to see your questions. You know, what I mean, we want
you
guys to
got
engage in
questions.
this.
Like
we're on multiple platforms right now. This is Facebook Live over here. Facebook Live can't see. But, you know,
we got
over
Facebook
here
Live on my phone here too. We got Instagram Live on the other phone there
like
too. You know what I'm saying? Dustin's live on YouTube.
So we got YouTube,
Facebook
Live.
So we want to hear you guys question stuff. But
that's what we want to do.
Governor chimed back in to say a little something back. A couple, topics we were talking about earlier. But he's like, it's like going back to being a child after everything we've been through. At the end of the day, we just want to play a game, some sort of soccer. We just want to bond after seeing what the world is capable of and how it's going as we speak. Because we don't got welfare, we got pride.
No, absolutely.
And then he said, Dustin, you're the truth as well.
Hey, shut up, Gov. Gov's the truth as well, man. I got nothing but love for Gov. You know, but sports are definitely a bonding thing. You know, like I was saying, bring it right back to that. You know, you get 8 guys, 10 guys in the garage. You lock that garage for 4 hours, throwing a game. 8 out of 10 of those guys will bomb regardless of where they're from, based on that one game they're watching.
And then after you've bonded with someone, you have a connection. Then from there, you actually have dialogue. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. And that
broke the barrier.
And that's the thing I think is crazy too. Like, and that's like even with Toronto, like for as amazing as it is for many things, one thing that I hate about it is that everybody is so in their own world. Like, you can't go down the street, and I'm not even just talking about like going to holla at girls and shit like that. Like, that's one thing. But like just having dialogue, like it's rare that like I'm out, like, you know, and the people who do just start random conversation that have dialogue that I talk with, usually 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. Like they're older. They're from a generation where you did that. You just talked to people in public. You got to know people. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't weird to be like, oh, hey, like, what are you doing today? Or like, just talk to the person next to you. But now, like, not only so many people screw face you in the screw face capital for even just doing something like that, fucking they feel that way so much themselves that they won't initiate a conversation neither.
A lot of people are afraid,
and that's why I think cell phones and shit is the scariest thing too. And to a generation like this, because you already have a generation of insecure people who already kind of like tried to act like they were looking at something.
Where does the shift happen?
You know,
where does the shift happen? Because if you go to like any daycare, any school, not saying that I hang out at daycares or something, but when you go to like a grade school, or, you know, I watch my nephew, for example, right? He'll run up to kids on the playground that he doesn't know and just be like, hey, my name is so and so, and they'll just start hanging out and playing.
Separation, I think, happens. Is it depends for different children, but like if you're bullied in grade school or something, right? Then you're vulnerable, and once you're vulnerable, is exposed as something that is embarrassing. Okay. Then you retract. You know what I mean? I was bullied on a lot in grade school, so I spent a lot of my early life shy as fuck. Okay. You know what I mean? I wouldn't let nobody. You know what I mean? And so I think that's one way it can happen. I think another way it can be on the opposite end. You could be the person who never got bullied. You could be that person. Right. But as you get older, there's social standards. You know what I mean? Like from watching TV and stuff, like the cool kids and the not cool kids. And you're like, oh, well, I can't talk to that kid because I'm cool. You know what I mean? And shit like that.
And you know what's funny about that?
It's another level of hiding vulnerability.
Do you guys know who, I'm just completely off topic, but what's his name? Michio Kikunaku, whatever, the Japanese, I can't say his last name, I'm half Japanese, but the Japanese scientist dude, he's got that long silver hair, and he's like an astrophysicist or whatnot. So he actually has a speech where he talks about, he's like, high school is kind of like a pyramid. He's like, the people who are at the top at high school, the cool guys, the jocks, the pretty girls. He's like, chances are in life, once they leave high school, that whole pyramid flips around. It does. They're not the cool people when you leave high school or university anymore, because they're still trying to get that, that attention that they got, as opposed to, when
it's not a life lesson.
Right, the mental, like the intellectual rewards that other people sought for and whatnot. You know what I mean? So it was really interesting to see that, high school and just life when you're kind of growing up. you leave that and the pyramid flips, the whole social
Yeah.
structure flips. Being cool, being the coolest person in the room doesn't really matter,
Yeah.
you know, when you're an
what's
adult.
crazy about you saying that too is that like when I was in grade school, I got picked on and shit, right? I felt like I was like, you know, bottom of the barrel.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
even though like my best friends were some of the kids who were considered cool kids, like I
Right.
felt
Yeah.
bottom of the barrel,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
I
I
got
was
my
like
ass kicked a
the
lot
kid
too.
that was like lucky to be hanging out
Oh,
with
sure,
these kids
so,
or whatever, right? But that shit flipped in high school.
Now they wanna
became
hang out
one of
with
the
you,
cool
right?
kids. And that's because I was
Yeah.
cool being myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After you recluse
Be
yourself for
yourself.
so long, you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna just be me, because what's
Yeah.
the worst they can throw at me? You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Like,
Absolutely.
this is no way to live. Those are the most depressing years of my life, the years I was trying to suppress
Right.
who I was. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Trying to fake the funk, and now
Trying
you're
to fake the funk.
I bet
I
you
never
the same
thought of
people-
suicide more times in my life than in that period. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Since then, once you become yourself, you live your true self.
Absolutely.
You know, life is great.
And I bet you some of those same people are probably like, man, hey, man, like they wish they could hang out with you now, you know,
Yeah.
because you're more yourself, and you know what I mean.
It's
Whatnot.
almost
So
it's like the
interesting.
quality they wish they could expose in
Right.
themselves. It's
Yeah.
almost like they want to learn to crack the code of like, how do I be myself?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How can I stop being fake? Well, that's the crazy thing too, because now we live in an era where, you know, like we're on YouTube here and
Yeah.
whatnot. Almost any culture is celebrated. So if you're, for example, really into anime,
Yeah.
and let's say 20 years ago you were considered a nerd for being
For
so
like,
hardcore
yeah.
into anime, now that whole market is there for you.
Yeah.
And not only is it there, but it's celebrated.
Yeah.
You can go to all types of conventions and all types of things, you know. So, you know, if you're into comic books, if you're into video games, if you're into programming,
Yeah.
whatever you're into, you don't have to isolate yourself and kind of lock yourself up in a room and think, man, the whole world just hates me and I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
There's a market for
Yeah.
every type of, you know, culture and every type of thing that you can do now,
Yeah.
right? So it's just so weird, and
Yeah.
it's cool.
Oh,
you
was
know?
it David Suzuki you're talking about?
No. David Suzuki's Canadian.
I had two people.
No. He's
What's up,
American.
baby?
He's again, I was gonna say American, but he's from the United States of America. He's not David Suzuki.
Yo, watch how you use that term now.
Yeah. But shout out David Suzuki. I know David Suzuki likes to smoke the Kush. I seen a picture of him
Say
smoking
word.
with what's his name? Tommy Chong.
No
Yeah.
way.
Which you know, like Tommy Chong's another I guess high up there Asian Canadian.
You know
dude.
what? That's one thing I miss about smoking weed. Because, like, you know, when we first started hanging
Yeah.
out, I was high all the time.
Yeah.
I smoked just
Yeah,
as
you
much
can't
as
even
did,
really
right?
smoke with me
No,
anymore.
man, this dude smoked me a blunt the other day. I was
Yeah.
so fucking high, man. I'm like,
I am a Kush smoker.
yeah, man. Because I slowed the fuck down. But one thing I miss about being high all the time is you're always thinking deeply.
Yeah.
It just
Kind of have
yeah.
that connection.
You know, like
to-
even just
to-
thinking about me makes you think of the Boogie Down production song. I think very deeply.
Yeah.
I think very deeply.
Yeah.
In 4 seconds, a teacher will begin to speak.
Big trend.
That's always going on in your head when you're high. You're just like always thinking. Like people will be talking to you, and you're just like, yeah. Meanwhile, you're like thinking about like, you know, how did the stars form that alignment?
Yeah.
And that why did the Egyptians find?
Yeah.
You know, you're just
Yeah.
like you're always.
How many grains of sand are there on this planet?
Right.
You know, like,
Yeah.
things
You're
like that.
always thinking about some next
Absolutely.
level crazy deep shit.
Do you guys think anything's going to change now that, you know, less than 2 months, or I guess 2 months and a week or so, that marijuana is going to be pretty much
Is that when
100%?
it is? Yeah, I guess it's already
October
August.
17th.
Yeah, we're
What's
close.
going to change is how people get busted.
Ah,
Yeah.
That's gonna be-
Okay, I like
Well
that.
put,
I like
well
that.
put, well put.
I like that a lot. What is going to change is how people get busted. That's really, really interesting, you know, because people definitely, the cops are definitely going to have a different approach to it. I think they're probably going to start enforcing more fines to smoking in public.
Yeah.
You know, I think right now they kind of don't care, but
Yeah.
if they can't arrest you for possession in public, they could probably fine the shit out of you for
Yeah.
smoking in public.
Yeah,
so,
I heard that. That's one
Yeah.
thing they're gonna do. And
how's that
actually,
going to
that
fuck up
being
concerts?
said, yeah, right.
Right? You know, like, I like to smoke at outdoor concerts. Are they going to be
Right.
out there in massive force? Or are they going to, you know, you can sell alcohol at concerts. Are you going to be able to sell bud at concerts?
Yeah.
True.
You know?
There's a market right there.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hey.
that's a question right there.
There's a market right there. But
Yeah.
actually, one thing too that you just what were we talking about? So yeah, I think that's one thing they'll do, make it, you know, harder for people to smoke
Right.
in public, punish you that
Enforcing
way,
more fines.
enforcing more laws.
Yeah.
The other thing I think that will happen is just like alcohol, you know what I mean? You'll get hit with like a charge you do a bootleg. Right now you get slapped on the wrist caught
Yeah.
selling weed.
Yeah.
You get caught selling weed once it's legal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Different story.
It'll be like, yo, it's like
Yeah.
you're bootlegging, you know what I mean? I think it
It'll be
hit
interesting.
you that way.
Or it's a legal product.
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
the case
Yeah.
may be.
You know what I mean?
Not
And
licensed.
But the other thing that when you said that it made me think of is one thing I think is crazy. I mean, neither of you are cigarette smokers, so this doesn't affect you. But yo, I got love for all my cigarette smokers out there. Anyone who puffs those cigarettes, yo, I know that every single one makes you happier, and fuck how much it cuts off your life, right? I love cigarettes. Shout outs to Rex. He's got a song repping cigarettes with, I think, Fame from MOP? I don't know. Anyone who reps cigarettes?
I actually heard, like, because you're saying cigarettes cut your life, I heard something that, like, they're close to finding a cure for lung cancer and that it has something to do with, like, Viagra.
Really?
That Viagra's helping them, like, find kind of like a cure for lung cancer,
so
if I'm not mistaken.
My dick can always be hard, and I can avoid lung cancer. This is like a... Yo.
I guess maybe opening up bloodstreams, because
hey.
you know why Viagra was originally invented, or what they were trying to invent when they invented Viagra, right?
No.
They were trying to find the cure for male pattern baldness, which I could really fucking use right now. I could really use that shit.
I wish you would do the reverse effect and take the hair off your nuts.
Oh, well, you can use Nair for that if you want. I don't recommend it, but you could always use Nair for that. But no, they were trying to find a cure for male pattern baldness. They didn't find that, but they noticed, oh shit, these fucking lab mice are actually, rats are getting hard on. So maybe we solved another problem. So the problem they solved was the blood flow, down
to
to
penis.
your penis, right?
Holy
they
shit.
solved that problem, and now you can go out there.
Rats.
Shout out the rats.
Shout outs governor, clear passages and permanent stiffies.
That's what it is. He understands. He gets it, man.
Yo, but the point I was gonna make though about the smoking is I seen a city in Quebec made it illegal to smoke
in the entire
anywhere
city.
in public.
Was it Quebec or was it? I thought it was New Brunswick that did
was
that.
it? I thought it was Quebec.
Somewhere, but they made it.
Yeah,
they made it illegal to smoke in the
cigarettes
entire city.
That's
absolutely
fucking
crazy.
insane to me. Now I think right there that infringes on your freedom.
Yeah, that definitely infringes on a particular freedom. I understand, the health implications and things like that, but you can't tell an entire town like, hey, you can't smoke in public.
Smoke.
And then on top of that, you got people who are going to live in buildings where they can't smoke in their buildings.
Yeah.
So I can't even go outside to have a smoke. Like that.
They're gonna go crazy.
I'm gonna move.
They do it anyways.
And what does that do for like company like, again, I don't smoke, but like company like DeMaurier,
Well,
you know what I mean, or something like that, right?
But do you know one thing? Now this is a theory. This is this is conspiracy theory, Cal, right here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now this is not backed by any facts. It's just backed by watching other industries and how they operate and things happen, right? Now this is my personal theory. So you guys are aware, right, that like the poultry, or not the poultry, the meat industry, beef specifically, puts more pollution into the air on a daily basis than every single car, SUV, any form of driven transportation and air transportation every single day. So the amount of exhaust that goes into the air from every single car being driven, every jet being flown, everything. The meat industry puts more pollution in the air every single day.
Yeah, I believe it's...
Now, that is a crazy fact, right?
Yeah.
Now you got them. Think about all the reforms they've done. Even like I know they don't go too far because the oil industry and the gas industry, that kind of stuff. They have so much money. They don't want to see things reform, right? But like how they do certain things like carpool lanes and stuff, right? Like to get less of the fossil fuels in the air, right? But you don't see any major crackdown on those. But what about cigarette smoke? Now, see, one thing I think a lot of people don't put into consideration is how harmful these toxins that are put into the environment every day from these top bill industries are affecting you. So people, what they do is like back in the 50s and shit, right? In the 60s, cigarette companies, they had a lot more money than even some of these companies did, right? So they were the ones funding the politicians' pockets, lobbying, that stuff, right? You're allowed to actually advertise cigarettes in magazines and stuff.
They used to advertise that shit in the Flintstones.
Right?
They advertised cigarettes on the...
cigarettes.
Right? Oh, the Popeyes. Oh, yes! Yes, okay. So I don't know if you ever did this. I know you did. You definitely got sent to the store to go buy cigarettes.
All the time.
Man, I used to go to the store with a fucking note from my parents with the exact amount of change. It would be a signature, and the store would give you the cigarettes.
Oh, word.
They changed that. I think it was probably like 1990 or something when they changed that law.
I made a lot of money doing that.
That's before my time. That's before my time.
You used to be able to go and buy cigarettes for your parents.
And it wasn't even like, you know what? I had no intention of smoking them. I just bought them, got my money from it, and
They had the vending machines too.
Yeah.
The vending machines were hilarious because they were in like churches and all types of weird stuff. You just see a vending machine, put the money in, pull it.
They used to smoke in the malls.
Dude, do you remember going to like government and that whole long walk into government and there would be the girls there with the trays actually selling you the cigarettes at the government nightclub? Nightclubs.
Oh man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I do remember going to like malls and shit, and they would have the ashtrays and stuff.
Yeah,
in my lifetime. Tim Hortons and shit. I remember when they first implemented the wall where smoking, non-smoking, and then they destroyed it all.
Yeah,
but see, my personal opinion is now, once again, conspiracy theory, but I think over the generations of, the 60s to the 70s to the 80s, the oil industry and the agricultural industry, the meat industry became very much more powerful than they had been earlier on. They started funding all the lobbying. So as they're starting to find scientific results about what's causing all these lung cancers, different things like that, well, cigarettes is a direct link. They're not funding our pockets as much anymore. These other things are not quite such a direct link. Even though if you have half a brain, you could really, you can see the link. But it's like, you know what? Well, and I think there was actually an agenda plotted to actually against the cigarette industry. And I think now, and this is why this shit pisses me off, because I think it's gone too far now. Like you can't smoke in anywhere. Cool, whatever. Like it is with the way it is. We've adapted it. But to start telling people they can't smoke in a fucking city, well then you better not have any fucking factories in your city. People better not be able to fucking drive in your city. You better not be able to fly a plane over your fucking city. Because all these other things are causing a lot more air pollution than fucking secondhand smoke.
I feel like I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with you.
That is crazy to me.
This is starting to sound like Thank You for Smoking movie.
I haven't even watched that.
That's a good movie. You never seen Thank You for Smoking?
No.
That's a good movie. You gotta check that out.
I love cigarettes.
Because it's actually about lobbyists. It's about not just even the it's about the gun lobbyists. It's about the cigarette lobbyists, with the cheese lobbyists. Which I think like the cheese and dairy industry kills more people than anybody every year just through heart attacks.
Oh shit!
Right, so that's definitely a movie you got to check out. Thank You for Smoking. That's a really good movie, and especially as passionate as you are about the topic, I think you should go watch it because in the movie there's actually a plot, and I remember after seeing the movie, I started to think like, hey, maybe this happened. So there's a subplot or a little story in the movie where the guy says, hey, what if we pay a Hollywood studio hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, to get someone like Leonardo DiCaprio to smoke in the movies. And then I remember after seeing that, seeing Blood Diamonds and Leonardo DiCaprio smoking cigarettes like a motherfucker all over Blood Diamonds, right? So yeah, you know what I mean. So
which they definitely do that, and but I personally, that's my personal opinion, is that I think that the cigarette industry was much stronger earlier on. So they had the leeway. They were doing the most lobbying. They had the most rights in their favor, whatever. And as time went on, fossil fuel industries, the gas industry, for sure. And fucking think about the meat industry, how fucking big that is, and then add that with the, you know what I mean, the fucking oil industry, the petroleum industry. You put those two together, the cigarettes don't stand a chance. And tons of people are getting lung cancer, and a lot of them are people who never even grew up in a house with smoking, were never around secondhand smoke. And never smoked a day in their fucking life.
How close do they live to the highway? Like I remember working right beside the DVP and just coming out and just feeling like I had smoked a whole pack of cigarettes standing out there for 5 minutes because there's so much smog, beside the DVP, right? Look at Los Angeles, just so much smog in the city of Los Angeles. Look at Beijing, China, like they had so much smog that they had to put up huge TVs with fake suns on it because it was blacked out, So, people are definitely gonna get lung cancer from pollution more than they are from smoking in the future. Right now, it's probably smoking that did it, but yeah, absolutely.
No, I think a lot of it more is pollution. The other thing is when you add smoking on top of the pollution you're already taking, that's a double. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things because it's a direct link, so it's easy to attack. And when you don't have as much funding, then it's easier to get your shit kiboshed than these people's. Right?
Do you actually know how much water it takes to produce 1 pound of beef?
Nope.
It takes about 1,400 pounds of water to produce 1 pound of beef. So just for one hamburger that you eat at McDonald's alone, the amount of carbon, the carbon footprint for one hamburger is fucking ridiculous.
Wow.
I can't believe how crazy the carbon footprint is for one hamburger, which ties into the whole park deal being called vegan deal thing. More people going vegan and whatnot. But the carbon footprint for meat is huge.
That is insane.
And one thing a lot of people, it says in the Bible that you're supposed to at least not eat meat on Fridays. And a lot of people be like, oh, this, that, and the other. I think that's one rule that maybe we as a society could benefit from going back to. because cutting down our actual beef intake by 1/7 would actually help with a lot of the pollution, a lot of things by about 1/7. Now that's about 12%, you know, so that could really, really, really cut things down a lot. But getting people to embrace a notion of, you know, just having 1 to 2 vegetarian days a week is a really hard thing to do.
Right, and I think I think it's a smart thing too. I'll tell you, when I never went vegan or vegetarian, but I went very close to where I would only eat meat once or twice a week. And then I would only eat, you know what I mean, vegetables or whatever, you know what I mean, like the best I could. But like meat, definitely, you know, I can't help if there's byproducts, you know, whatever, you know, like gelatin, like you know what I mean, shit the I was more vegetarian, not vegan kind of, you know what I mean, but the one thing, like, I, for one, lost a ton of weight. For two, always had a lot more energy, was a lot more clear-minded. Like, I don't think people realize how fucking bad meat is for you to begin with. But with how much we intake it. You know what I mean? And it's actually crazy. And, like, you know, people, you know, call vegans, like, fucking idiots. They call them people who vape fucking...
Well, meat helped us.
Vape pens and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, they look at them like they're all fucking, you know, you see the homo memes and shit like that. But it's like, actually, it's very beneficial. You know what I mean? Like, very beneficial to your health.
Oh, vegetarianism, but meat did help us as a human species. Like, it helped develop our frontal lobes.
One thing, that's what I was going to say too. You know? I think us as like scavengers, as humans, right? What we would do, I think we ate more plant-based stuff.
We did.
But, you know, winters, times like that, like
they were harder on us.
They're harder on us, right? So you hunt, you eat, you eat what you can. You got to survive, right? You want to put fat on your body to store it, stay warm, stuff like that. So like we are meant to eat both, but I just don't think we're meant to eat fucking mostly meat and 3 times a day and a very rare amount of vegetables and fucking, you know what I mean? Like
and that's the same thing with dairy. Like even dairy, it's arguable that you're not supposed to have dairy after the age of 5. What other animal has dairy after they're an infant?
I agree, and then we're the only species that eats someone else's
dairy. Goat dairy, cow dairy,
dairy's
soy
actually
dairy.
horrible for you, but I could never give up dairy.
I like chocolate milk.
I don't
love
like
chocolate
milk. I don't like milk. I do almond milk and shit, but
I don't
like milk. That's one habit I kept. But I love fucking cheese.
I
would fucking have sex with a block of fucking good smoked cheddar. You know what I'm saying?
It does taste good, man. If there was a substitute, and there are substitutes.
Yeah, no, I feel you can't have
it's that tangy flavor that you can't resist.
No, and the melted cheese or burnt cheese. You know what I mean? Like,
I feel that.
There's nothing in the world.
I feel that. Are you guys gonna hit up Taste of Danforth at all this weekend?
Oh, is it this weekend?
It's this weekend. You're in Barrie this weekend?
Yeah.
Are you doing the show Friday night?
No, I'm not even doing the show.
We're
just going there.
Okay.
It's my girlfriend's sister's daughter's first birthday.
Happy birthday.
So we're going up there, doing the party,
cool.
drink with her and her sister for a couple nights and just kind of lay low type of thing.
I'm going to try to hit it up. You know, I'm going to try to hit it up. If not Friday, I'll try to hit it up, you know, maybe Saturday after this rally.
Yeah.
If any of you guys want to come, Taste of Danforth after the rally, man.
Yeah, I wish I could go to the fucking rally and resist too.
Yeah, so definitely, fuck anybody else that's watching, and we were talking earlier, you know, there's this crazy rally that's going to happen Saturday, Nathan Phillips Square, the World Coalition Against Islam, and we're encouraging people to come out and counter-protest. You know,
in Nathan Phillips Square?
Nathan Phillips Square. So we're encouraging people, 2 p.m., come out, counter-protest, you know, show some solidarity with the city, you know. If you're an artist, if you are a punk rock artist, if you're a hip-hop artist, if you are a reggae artist, if you're just a rock artist, you know what I mean? The medium was created to stick it to the man. The medium was created to kind of, you know what I mean, be counter culture, so to speak, or, you know, it was just created to really just say fuck you to all of that shit. And, you know, if you represent that, come out and show support, show some solidarity. That, I think that more so than anything, you know, people don't realize when you are an artist, you speak for people. You speak for at least 10 to hundreds of thousands of other people other than yourself. Your voice carries weight. You are a leader of your community. You've taken it upon yourself to be somewhat of a mayor unofficially of your community. And, you know, if you're a community mayor, if you're an artist, come out to this fucking counter protest, man. Let your voice be heard.
Word up.
Don't come out and, you know, do violent stuff, you know, defend yourself, but we need to kind of just show that, hey, this is the new Toronto. New Toronto's the same as the old Toronto.
This ain't gonna fly.
Yeah, we don't, you know,
there should be a no-fly zone for any racism. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know, like Trick in Detroit. Like we should like.
You gotta check in. You gotta pay homage, homie.
You gotta check in if you're a racist around here.
Racists gotta pay homage. You can't do it. You gotta check in with us.
Let you know that ain't cool. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So, so like I was saying, I'd like to see a lot of artists come out, show some solidarity, and more so than anything, I'd like to see us start organizing. The fact that we put this show together, it's a way for us to organize.
Yep.
It's a way even just for us to promote our own endeavors.
Yep.
But more so, we could use this as an organizing hub for our city, and we could really start talking about some of the pressing issues, some of the hotbed shit. Gang, right now is a hotbed topic in Toronto.
Yeah.
Specifically, you know what I mean? Guys who are involved in gangs within the urban community. They're making it really look bad, and they're gonna fuck up their potential to make money. That's a hotbed issue in Toronto.
Yeah.
Some of the other issues that we said were all right, and some of the other issues are great. There are some really great things going on in the city that we need to celebrate, and we need to show love to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So shit, man. It looks like we've been doing this for a minute.
Yeah, we've been on here for
we're going on
like 76
Yeah.
minutes or so.
Yeah.
So maybe we should. I don't know. What do we want to touch base on last? Close it out.
I was
with?
gonna say maybe one more topic, maybe round this off to a clean number. And
Yeah.
Maybe we can put it into the Radio Roto, all that stuff. And,
Okay.
Cool. So what are we at? We're at 77 now. So what's our closest clean number? We're looking at
80 or
90.
Yeah, 90 minutes,
is
I
the
guess.
closest clean
90
number.
is the closest number.
All right. So yeah, I mean, that's not
We'll
too
take it out.
bad.
We'll round it up for another 12 minutes.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Well, we can talk about a couple things.
Let's talk about music.
All right.
I mean, we are all invested in music. We are all musicians in this room, some fashion, shape, or form. So let's talk about music. Let's talk about the scene. Let's talk about, how do you guys feel about the venues that are closing down in this city?
That's a good conversation, actually.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. Now, you guys are Toronto born and raised, so you've seen this firsthand much more than me. But even in the time that I've lived here in Toronto, I've seen a lot of venues
just shut
close
down
their doors.
Yeah.
A lot that I've gone to for shows.
Yeah.
I've either performed
or you booked, or you wanted to open, do shows there yourself. Absolutely, right.
One that hit close to home, like yesterday, we were just talking about it. But you guys know Alex from Fun Up Entertainment.
Yeah.
He's got, and I'll promo him right now. He's got MOP coming September 8th.
Oh, dope! Shout out MOP.
Coming October 18th. Stadium Nightclub for MOP and Revival for Cool G Rap.
Yeah.
Make sure you get your tickets. Or
shout out MOP, man. That sounds like a dope show.
All that shit. Go check them out. $30 advance tickets.
Where's that show happen? Is that Revival?
The Revival is Cool G Rap, October 18th.
So you guys spend about $10 a fucking beer that night at Revival.
Make sure you got your flask ready.
Yeah, you gotta have your flask ready.
Pre-drink.
Hey, Revival, if anybody from Revival is watching this Revival nightclub, you guys gotta lower the price of your drinks, man, because you're making it real hard for us to, enjoy night. Like, I shouldn't have to come with $100 and only have like 5-6 drinks and be like, man, what the hell, and it makes it harder for me to tip the bartenders or whatever.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Revival's definitely got a lower
price.
price.
Toronto's the city of roadies, right? You get around on TTC, you just fill up a Perrier bottle with half vodka and some other shit. You're drunk by the time you show up. That's why every time you see me at the show, I got a bottle of Perrier with me. You know what's up, right?
I know you a pre-drink.
Yeah.
These venues are closing down, man. Like we did Nocturne, 2 weeks? Were you at Nocturne? Were you at the Nocturne show that night?
Which
Almeida put it on. Shout out Matt Almeida. It was the
the last Nocturne show.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't there.
Okay, so we closed down Nocturne. So Nocturne's one of the venues that's added to the list of closed down venues. I mean, you probably don't even remember that whole corner at one time was Reverb, Big Bob, and Holy Joe's.
Oh my!
Three floors. So you had one spot in that corner, that big orange building on the corner of Queen and Bathurst.
It's
now.
basically what the furniture store is.
The furniture store?
The furniture store.
That used to be
a 3-story club where like you would start out at the bottom floor as a baby band, move your way up before you made your way up to the top. And like, yeah, man. Every I don't say every, but a lot of punk bands, a lot of hip hop bands, because I was in a rock band at that time. My band kind of, we played there.
With the Reverb,
and Holy Joe.
Yeah, it was
great.
great.
Yeah. And it was really dope. That whole strip, man, there was so many more places to perform.
Zen Lounge, that was above, that used to be like Zubar West or some shit.
Okay.
But Zen Lounge was there for a few years.
Yeah.
Above the Shoppers Joint with Nassau across the street.
Yeah, Nassau, yeah.
I can't remember.
It was great. It was a raver's paradise. If you were into like raves and shit.
Oh man.
The goth scene.
The goth scene ran Queen West, man.
That whole strip between Bathurst and
I did Velvet Underground for 2 years. DJ there for 2 years before they shut down, and then they got turned into something else. Tattoo was my favorite club in the world for a long time. Like I would hit up Tattoo on the regular, and it was so local. I knew the bouncers there. I knew the security, so just get in, have fun, leave, go across the street to work, go upstairs, top the building, smoke.
Now what's left there right now, other than
751's a new thing. I don't know what. Bovine's still there. So Bovine's pretty much the Lord of the Strip. Velvet's now there. They're rebranded. They're still Velvet, but they got a new owner. and fuck, they even moved. What was the other one? The other one. Hideout got moved to College Street, right?
Yeah.
Hideout was packed every night. You know what I mean?
Good word, eh?
Yeah, Hideout was dope, and they got moved to College Street, right? So a lot of venues just getting shut down.
A lot of reasons, condos. Other reasons is
noise.
That too,
noise
The
complaints.
condos are the fucking worst, man.
Yeah.
They're deteriorating this
Oh,
fucking
dude,
city.
condos everywhere. Like, you're right by me on the Danforth, and like you can see, they're trying to build
man,
condos fucking everywhere now. You know?
it's
Everywhere.
killing Toronto.
Yeah.
Or even like, where I used to live, like when we first met,
Yeah.
right, like Honest Ed's there.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
oh.
And that whole little strip of
Yeah.
Markham on my
Central,
street.
and
It was so
stuff like
cool.
that.
You
They
had like,
killed Bathurst and fucking Bloor.
yeah,
You know, like
there was like a lot of dope shit there. You know, that little nook on Markham where I lived, like it was the most artistic little like block.
Yeah, Markham
or two,
Street.
You know,
Yep.
little art galleries
They
and
had
shit.
a video store.
Yeah,
Was it the Queen
dope video
Video?
store?
Yeah, Queen Video. That shut down.
Yeah, they shut the whole shit down. You know what I mean? And I read a
Absolutely.
book actually, the Ed Mirvish book, and when he opened up like Mirvish Village, the ideology was to keep it out of the hands of the corporate.
Yeah.
It's all supposed to be homegrown. Like,
Provide for the local people at a really low cost.
Kind of a
and-
niche artistic
absolutely.
neighborhood. And then after he died and the family sold off the Honest Ed property, I guess he owned the whole block, right?
Yeah.
Hence Mirvish Village.
Yeah.
And they just fucking.
It's gone now. Now
Yeah.
it's gonna be a condo, and
It
it's
was
gonna
crazy.
be
Like I didn't
super
live there,
gentrified.
like I moved out for maybe like 3 years, and then I still only lived up College
Yeah.
and Bathurst, right? Like my old spot too. And I get off the subway one day, and I'm like, "Fuck taking the streetcar. I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna go for a little walk down memory lane."
Yeah.
Memory lane was a fucking
Yeah,
bunch
what
of
the fuck is
fences and
this?
half-torn fucking buildings
Yeah.
and just empty. I'm like, damn.
Absolutely. Well, hey, shout out to my boy Jeremiah. What up, homie? But even Bathurst and College, or Spadina and College. You look at Kensington Market, and it's just getting completely switched around. I think people fought because they didn't want to get a Walmart put into that area.
Right.
Walmart would have fucked them, but they put a superstore there, right?
Yeah, they
But
did.
even that Rancho Relaxo's closed.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? My homegirl Tina, she had upstairs, and she was running it, and they closed down. I think
remember Rancho.
Rancho was good.
Yeah.
It was a few different things, and then Tina got it. She named it Stop, Drop, and Roll, and it was really dope. Stop, Drop, and Roll had a lot of potential, and unfortunately now that's closed.
Oh, they're not even there anymore.
No. Stop, Drop, and Roll's not even there anymore. They got a cat cafe downstairs, and I don't
Last
know
time I
what's
went
upstairs
to
anymore.
Stop Drop was Specs One's birthday.
Right?
Yeah.
So dude, it's just like the whole landscape is changing, and it's becoming a lot harder if you're an independent artist, or if you're in the case of myself and this man here, if you're a DJ, it's becoming even harder just to find spots, just to kind of go
to work.
It's becoming more of like a pub culture.
Yeah.
I find like the city's becoming more of a pub culture. Young kids don't seem like they're going to clubs unless they're super clubs anymore.
Yeah.
So those little small one-off clubs just aren't surviving the way they were.
And the rent's going up on them.
Yeah, rent's through the fucking roof. Through the roof. So they're really making it hard for like the arts and the culture scene to kind of cultivate,
And that's
new
what
art
Toronto's
and
prided
thrive.
on.
Yeah.
It's the arts and culture scene, it's music scene, it's underground.
Well, it should be.
Exactly.
We should be. Like we're the sister city to Austin, Texas, who has South by Southwest. We got North by Northeast. That should mean a hell of a lot more than what it means. It used to mean something 10 years ago.
Yeah.
We got Fashion Week, we got CMW.
Yeah,
These
and
things
it's like
meant
you're
something. But
destroying the whole arts community.
is the fashion district even the fashion district anymore?
Technically yes, and technically no. It's
you know?
labeled that,
It's
but
labeled,
it's
They
it's
still got a
not
couple
it.
textile companies, but
But
I
yeah.
think that a lot of them are almost done too.
That's crazy, man.
It's-
There was the one in Parkdale that was there for 50 years or something, and they just closed down as well.
He's retiring,
Okay, well, good for him that he's retiring, but
and he's retiring probably with a fat check.
okay, well,
No,
good for him.
I think there should be some bylaws put in place to help protect the arts community. And
Yeah, I would like to see that.
Like, it's just ridiculous.
I would like to see that.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
I think
like
by
to
the
see
time they do it, it'll be too late because they don't really honestly care.
I also think a part of the problem is kind of like the grant system and stuff, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they don't really know what's out there. They're not really aware of what's hot and what's fresh now. They just kind of latch on to something when it blows up.
As long as
you know?
as long as you're through SoCan, you got like regulated sales that you can prove or some shit like that. Then basically it's like, okay, well here's a grant, but fuck all those like clubs that you're actually performing at that they're signing.
We're gonna close them down, and
you're
not gonna be able to promote your music and show anybody your music. We're just
like,
gonna fucking shut you down.
Yeah, I think that's a big problem. I think Factor and the whole grant system and everything. I think they should be doing more to protect the whole art scene.
They could easily mobilize.
mobilized, doing
And
not
actually,
doing
in the
anything.
age of the internet, to be honest with you, and I know I catch a lot of flack from this from homies who manipulate and take advantage of our grant system. But I think it would be more beneficial at this time for them to take the money they're giving these artists for grants and hand them out. In the age of the internet, you can do fucking everything yourself.
You do a lot more yourself.
Stop giving fucking people money to just fucking fund their lives. Because I know so many people who get grants to basically just live off that shit. They quit their job and live off grant money, and that's a fucking joke.
I think they should be investing in studios. They should be investing into multimedia studios that people could come and actually like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Why is there not
They
a
should be
factor?
supporting Maximum FM.
Right.
Yeah.
Why is there not
Hey.
a factor funded podcast center somewhere in the city where people affiliated with Factor who are members can go and record podcasts and get those, out to other members and whatnot. There should be something like that. Like YouTube will come in and do something like that. But we won't do that for our own. Outsiders
we'll allow
will come in
foreign force to come in and infiltrate us, but we won't do it for our fucking selves.
Right. So that the only people who get pushed wind up being The Weeknd, Drake, Alyssa Cara.
Same old story.
Exactly, right? So and that problem in itself, because the reason why these grants were created was to compete with American content in the 60s, right? Are these, if we don't start figuring out a new way to kind of do something, those grants will be worthless. And at the end of the day,
labels, the way they have to
Canadian
adapt
artists
to
will fall by the wayside.
streaming, the ways of the internet, Factor, it's an ancient system and it needs to start to adapt. You
Yeah,
don't need to give an artist 20 grand so he can film a music video and pay for producers for an album when he's doing his recording in his basement and he's filming his own music videos. You know what I mean? That dude's literally living off this money and booking fucking tours, which is great too, his career and stuff, but the money's not being used for what it used to be used for. What's supposed to be used for to get you on national radio, to get you on national television.
And much music doesn't even matter anymore.
No, exactly.
The concept of much music, it used to be something to get played on Much Music and it would boost your career.
Exactly.
But as a national platform, people just watch it for South Park. They don't watch it for music
videos. What good is a Factor video doing on YouTube?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So it's a weird time as an artist. Definitely a topic we need to broach for a whole other episode. Maybe get an expert in here to kind of break down some of the numbers and talk to them.
Maybe we could get a Dio in here or something.
That would be dope.
Dio's he's probably the most knowledgeable dude we can get in here to talk about.
Yeah,
He would probably shed light on anything where maybe we might be going over the top saying stuff.
He's got the Northern Power Summit, so it'd be good to get him in here.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So maybe Dio, if you're watching, or if anybody who fucks with Dio is watching, you should come through and have a Toronto Talks episode with us.
And he's somebody who does grants as well, or does the grant application, so it'd be good just to talk to him about that and see,
the process. And
absolutely. Because I agree that some of them are great, especially if you're traveling abroad, just to get reimbursed for some of that money to travel abroad and bring your product out there. But in today's day and age, where the internet is kind of taking over, it is kind of like making things a little bit weird. And
it's just one of those things where people can manipulate the wrong way, right? Like Raekwon can come in here and
steal money from JD era.
Raekwon, you know what I mean? He should be banned from Toronto. I don't understand why he's able to even come back.
Right?
Honestly, and none of us said anything. None of us said anything.
He's not Raekwon. He's Ghostface Killer.
Oh, stop. Big up to Robbie.
Inside joke.
Big up to Robbie.
Yeah. No. Big up to my homie Mike Guts. That's real Toronto Talks right there.
But if one person didn't do it, another person wouldn't have. That was
so Ghostface.
That's fucking funny though.
Ghostface Killer shouldn't be allowed in Toronto.
Ban the whole Wu-Tang. Whatever you want to call them.
All right, well, this is the first pilot episode, Toronto Talks. Shout out to you, Robbie G. You went viral with that shit. And we got Dustin Wareham, we got myself, Maloney, MLNY, we got the homie Mike Stone. I hope you guys enjoy what you heard, and hopefully we can come back to you guys.
All right, before we cut out real quick, Mike, where you DJing at next?
Thursday at Hapla, Saturday at Smiling Buddha.
I should say that again. Say that one more time.
Thursday at Hapla, Friday. I'm mad tired. And Friday, Thursday at Hapla, Saturday at Smiling Buddha.
Okay, that's what's up. I got a show coming up on the 24th this month. Shout out to Matt Almeida. We're doing an NYC to Toronto competition with DJ Ace. Here's the tickets right here. Hit me up for some tickets because I want to take a trip out to New York. So shout out Almeida. Shout out anyone else performing on that bill. Maloney, what you got? Dope. What you got coming up next, bro?
I don't got nothing for shows right now. I'm just lounging. But you can check out the Breaking Records album we just put out last week, Evacuation. Check that shit out. Breaking Records Radio every week. Maximum FM, Saturday, 8 p.m. Tuesday, 2 and 10 p.m. No Condom Podcast every Wednesday on YouTube, on the Breaking Records Radio page, Eddie GTV pages. And now you got Toronto Talks, motherfuckers. So we're covering every aspect of this shit. You know what I mean? Shout out to Maximum FM, Chris Scott Rocks, Mike Boogie, DJ Shortcut in the cut right now. Being
Yeah,
patiently
bomb, bomb,
waiting.
bomb.
The homie Shortcut.
That's
He's
what's
got
up.
his juice going, and that's that. You know what I mean? I think we hit the time. So let's cut this shit. Toronto Talks. I hope you guys enjoyed.
Just remember, man, we ain't unapologetically black, we ain't unapologetically white, we just unapologetically ourselves, baby.
Hey,
That's what's up.
That's the slogan.
One love, baby.
Yeah,
Thanks for
yeah.
watching, man. Toronto Talks. We out of here. Yeah, shout out all my Malvern homies, man.
Wow, wow.
Toronto, what's up? Toronto Talks. We don't say that second T, baby. That's how you know we're real Torontonians, baby. One love.
Peace.
Yeah, man, that was good.
Dope. Dope.
I don't know how I end this shit on YouTube, though.
Woo! Oh, man.
That was good for the first one, man.
Yo,
Yeah.